Yo, what's going on with y'all boys, man? Welcome back to another video. And if you're new here, welcome. You know what I'm saying? As you all know, Game 3 of the NBA Finals has wrapped up, and the San Antonio Spurs are not going out without a fight. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm sure if you watched the videos before this, or if you don't know, you know what I'm saying, I picked the Spurs to win in at least 6. It was definitely a long-awaited return back to the Garden with the Finals, but the Spurs spoiled it. You know what I'm saying? And I could say I definitely expected the Knicks to come out with more of a spark. I do think they came out a little flat, you know what I'm saying, to begin the game. They just didn't seem to have that same high energy spark that they did before. But I do think that that's partly because of the Spurs were able to really punch first. You know what I'm saying, and still keep their momentum. Basically, the first 2 games, the Spurs have been the ones that coming out fast. So it's really, Game 3 was basically no surprise of the Spurs coming out fast. But I think what they did differently was the fact that they were able to maintain their momentum. You know what I'm saying? They were able to take the punches and the runs from the Knicks. And even when the Knicks started to fight back and tie the game and take a lead, the Spurs didn't allow that to detour them. You know what I'm saying? I know to close out the first half, the Spurs struggle usually like they did in the first 2 games, but I think ultimately the Spurs came back out and got regrouped. You know what I'm saying? Which was something that they didn't do in the first 2 games. You know what I'm saying? And I do think after watching this game, I do think this is the point where the series turns. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, New York still has a little bit of the momentum, you know what I'm saying, still in 2 on the road. But I think this is where the series really turns, and you really start to see the Spurs impose their will. You know what I'm saying? Because you have players like Wemby and Fox, Castle coming out on missions. You know what I'm saying? They came out on a mission like, we're going to attack, and ain't nothing you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Wemby, the first 2 minutes of the game, he had, 3 wide open dunks, layups. He came out attacking. Stephon Castle came out attacking into, you know what I'm saying, the bag work, looked comfortable. You know, now towards the end of the first half, he definitely had, you know what I'm saying, a few costly turnovers that contributed to a New York run. But I think ultimately, you know what I'm saying, the Spurs limited the mistakes as far as the turnovers and didn't let it get out of control. You know what I'm saying? But I do think the biggest X factor, I'm just talking about general X factor, not a specific player in this game, that I really think, you know what I'm saying, took a toll on New York, and really, you know, over time you started to see it was the Spurs defense. You know, the Spurs defense was superb. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't letting nothing get by. It was a no-fly zone. You know what I'm saying? They came out with a purpose. Usually in the first 2 games, after New York started to, you know what I'm saying, fight back, the Spurs, there was points where you'll see them lose their momentum, or they'll start, the turnovers will start racking up, and just the mental mistakes. And Wemby stayed aggressive throughout the entire game, played pretty much one of the most perfect games you could play, especially for a young player, first time in the playoffs. This is his first complete game of the series where, you know, he came out start to finish and consistently provided something offensively or defensively. It wasn't ever a spurt within the game where Wemby was, you know, coming out slow, or he wasn't being as aggressive. He was being too passive. So I do think he was ultimately the biggest X factor, but I feel like he's the biggest X factor of the series. He's been the biggest X factor of the playoffs so far, you know what I'm saying, out of any team. There's no player in the NBA that can change a game like Wemby can, you know what I'm saying, just off his physical ability. But that also leads me into my next point of a person that wasn't being aggressive, that wasn't being passive, or that was being passive and wasn't being aggressive. That should have been, that could have altered the course of this game, and didn't have to rely so much on Brunson to where, now the ball is sticking to one player the entire possession. Because before I get into that point, Brunson definitely had a few possessions where he was the only one touching the ball. From the time they bring it up the court to the time the shot clock ends, or to the time they put a shot up, he was the only one touching the ball. And I think that hurt the rhythm of their offense. You know what I'm saying? Because what's been making the New York Knicks so dangerous in these playoffs is the fact that, you know what I'm saying, everybody's getting involved. Everybody's getting touches. But like I said, I also lead me into my point that I was about to say. Cat wasn't being aggressive at all. I do think part of it is on Cat because he wasn't really. It would seem like times he didn't want the ball. You know what I'm saying? It would seem that times he was just standing on the perimeter watching Brunson go to work. Maybe it'll set a screen here and there, but it wasn't, you know, a screen to be able to get the ball. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a screen in a hard roll or a screen in an aggressive fade to where, hey, give me the ball. It wasn't one of them. It was just one of the ones where I'm going to set the screen and get out the way. You know, and I do think by Cat not being aggressive, you know, it left Brunson to create heroic. It left Brunson to create heroic plays. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he had a few shots where it was like, how did that go in? You know what I'm saying? Only Brunson can make those type of shots. There was this one play where the man ended up getting fouled, got turned around and hit the shot while his back was facing the rim. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but he ended up making the shot. So like I said, it left Brunson to have to create heroic plays because Cat wasn't being aggressive. Because ultimately, like I said in other videos before, Cat is ultimately the duo. They're supposed to be working as a duo. You know what I'm saying? Brunson is a great player, but to be honest with you, throughout the season and up to this point, you know what I'm saying, he really hasn't come alive until the fourth quarter. And so far this playoffs, the New York Knicks have gotten lucky with not having to rely so much on, or not letting the game get out of control, you know what I'm saying, which allows Brunson to put the game away. But I do think, you know what I'm saying, there will become a time within this series where, you know, you're really going to start to see, you know, the struggles within New York being passive and really relying on Brunson too much. I do think this was a game where you really started to see, you know, the heroics not really come into play because everybody else wasn't stepping up. You know what I'm saying? Because what's really been separating New York Knicks from everybody else is the fact that they've been on fire. They've been basically the hottest team in the NBA. But I feel like this game, you're starting to see that die down just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Mikal Bridges only having 2 points, and he's pretty much their hottest player right now. Mikal Bridges only having 2 points after coming off a 20-point game, which is also just not going to cut it. You know, and I think that factor into putting even more pressure on Brunson. The pressure on Brunson was immense. But the thing with the Spurs, like I've been saying even before the series started, that the New York Knicks are going to struggle with is the fact that the Spurs can switch everything. The Spurs can literally switch 1 through 5 and be okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Their communication on defense was top 10 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? They had some of the best communication on defense that I've seen in the playoffs so far, and I feel like that's what's really making Brunson really struggle. Said New York Knicks, they've been staying alive. You know what I'm saying, because of their, you know, basically hot shooting, hot streaky starts, and just hitting everything. But I think this game is starting to raise the question of, is that starting to die down, or are they coming back to their own, or what people expected? I think after seeing this game, I think though the biggest question is the Knicks' historic run coming to an end? You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, they've been historically good, historically great, shooting lights out, making every big time shot that you need to make. But you do see times where, you know what I'm saying, the Knicks offense is struggling, or the Knicks offense is stagnant when Brunson or Cat is not in the game, or Cat not being aggressive. But because of their historic shooting from players like Landry Shamet and Mikal Bridges, you know what I'm saying, and OG Anunoby, who also had a big time game, basically a big time series so far. They've really been able to overcome, you know what I'm saying, those runs. But now it's looking like the Spurs are really starting to really figure out what they need to do. They're really starting to figure out, you know what I'm saying, ways to win, ways to limit their turnover, overcome turnovers, you know what I'm saying, just come into their own, start getting comfortable within this series. Because pretty much for the entire game, except for maybe the end of the first half, they controlled this game. Even after the New York Knicks punched back, the Spurs were able to bounce back. You know what I'm saying? The Spurs responded well. And usually that was the point where New York would start to take over. You know what I'm saying? Because that's usually how the first two games went. You know what I'm saying? New York Knicks, they'll make a run. Spurs will try to make a comeback. Then the Knicks will punch again. You know what I'm saying? Hitting crazy shots, doing all that. But it seemed like they just didn't have that going, you know what I'm saying, this game. But, you know what I'm saying, what really got them all the way to this point was the fact that Cat has been playing above, you know what I'm saying, what the expectations, or above how he's been playing all season. You know what I'm saying? He's arguably been playing better, you know. But now, you know, you're starting to see the old Cat come back, where he's not really being aggressive. He's somewhat letting the game come to him, but he's being too passive. You know what I'm saying? Every time he's being too passive, you know what I'm saying, the New York Knicks lose. You know, it's just the way it goes. Last time New York lost, it was Mikal Bridges and Cat not being aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Being too passive. And they lost last night for the first time since April 23rd. And guess what? Mikal Bridges and Cat was not being aggressive. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they will bounce back and get back into that rhythm, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely making me watching this game and seeing how the Spurs were able to bounce back and respond to adversity, especially in a hostile environment in New York, probably one of the hardest places to play, especially in a sold out crowd in New York with the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they were able to respond with adversity is definitely making me start to question, you know what I'm saying, is the New York Knicks run coming to an end? You know what I'm saying? Because what's really got them here is their historic shooting and, you know what I'm saying, the miracle plays. You know, just the crazy shots they've been able to shoot, the crazy runs that they're able to be on. But this game, I just didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? I think the Spurs did a great job of just controlling it. You know what I'm saying? Responding to every punch, having a counter to every punch. You know what I'm saying? Staying with it, sticking with, you know what I'm saying, attacking, not settling. Like Wembanyama, like previous games before, settling for threes. Castle, you know, just careless turnovers. De'Aaron Fox not being aggressive, not really attacking Brunson and players like Shamet when they guarding you. But I think this game, it really showed that they're overcoming it. You know what I'm saying? And they looked real comfortable, looked way more comfortable than New York, which they were on their home floor. And the Spurs were the more comfortable team. They came out like the more, you know what I'm saying, prepared team. But we'll see. You know what I'm saying? I still stand by my, you know, by my prediction of San Antonio winning. But now I'm pushing it to 7. Y'all let me know down below who y'all got winning still. Do you still have the Spurs? Do you still have the Knicks? Y'all let me know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Do those 3 things for me. Yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.